You're welcome to this lesson. Today, we are going to learn how to answer WASSCE questions on metaphors. I am Rumeso Adeyemo with the brand name English with RMG, and this video is proudly brought to you by IOTA Virtual Learning Platform. So, in this video, you are going to learn a comprehensive understanding of metaphors and its three major types. We are also going to solve lots of practical questions on metaphors from the WASSCE past questions. And this is because this video is 100% practical for you so that you can get the best out of your WASSCE exam. So, are you ready? Get your writing materials and let's begin. First, before we go into the questions, what are metaphors? So, metaphor may be defined as a figure of speech which directly compares two things that are ordinarily unrelated but has one or more qualities in common. In other words, or in simpler terms, metaphors directly compares two things that are unrelated. Usually, I tell my students metaphors are direct comparison. That is, direct comparing two things that are ordinarily unrelated. How do I mean? Let's consider a few examples for me to exemplify this definition. Example 1, we have Mr. Tade is a machine. By looking at this expression, Mr. Tade is a full grown man, animate, human being, while a machine is an inanimate object. So they are ordinarily unrelated. However, we are directly comparing them in this sentence because they have some qualities or some features in common. You know, machines are used to produce goods for us. Do you understand? And machines are usually often efficient. So if Mr. Tade is also efficient and very productive, then I can directly compare him to a machine by just saying that he's as effective, he's as efficient, he's as productive as a machine. So I could say Mr. Tade is a machine. That does not mean that in reality he has turned into a machine. No. So, example 2, time is money. This is also a form of what? Metaphor. Do you understand? But here it does not mean that time is now what I will take to the market to buy something. No. It simply means that time is valuable and should be spent wisely like money. Because if you don't value your time as much as you value your money, then you might be losing a whole lot of money in the real sense. Example 3, a smile lit up the room. So this is a direct comparison between two things that are unrelated. A smile is not a light, it cannot bring light into the room. But here we are saying that a light brings happiness or excitement. So we are comparing this excitement, this happiness to light. Do you understand? So now let's move on to the next thing, which is what? Types of metaphors. Types of metaphors. Kindly pay attention to the types of metaphor because I know that sometimes students struggle to identifying some types of metaphors such that they even argue with their teachers to say, oh, it is metaphor or it is not metaphor. However, if you already understand the types of metaphors, you will never get confused in identifying them. So we have three major types of metaphors, and they are direct metaphors, implied metaphors, and extended metaphors. So now that we have listed them, let's explain it one after the other. Direct metaphors first. So, direct metaphors usually clearly state that one thing is another with the use of is, are, was, or were. How do I mean? For example, if I say, he is a lion on the soccer field, it simply means that I am directly comparing his action or his attitude on the field to that of a lion. You know, lions are usually seen as animals that are brave and have leadership qualities. So, for the second example, they are a ray of sunshine. It does not mean that they are actually a form of a sun, but it means that they bring a form of hope. Do you understand? Directly comparing the hope they bring to that of what the sunshine. Do you understand? So let's consider a few more examples of direct metaphors. So example 3, we have life is a war. This does not mean that all we do in life is to fight battle. Do you understand? It is just a metaphor to say that life is a constant struggle with challenges and obstacles to overcome, similar to what happens on the battlefield. So it's like saying one thing and the other has similar qualities. Then we say, then that means they are the same. That is, it is the same. A is B, just like we say, life is what? A war. Just because they have one or two qualities in common, just to create vivid imagery. Do you understand? So, example 4, Sade's voice is a knife. So, this is also a direct comparison. It does not mean that Sade's voice has a sharp edge, it only means that his words can be hurtful. Do you understand? So it's like comparing the feature of a knife, which is capable of cutting something, to that of Sade's voice because it is also capable of hurting someone's emotions. Now let's move on to the next type of metaphor before we solve our past questions on metaphors, which is what? Implied metaphors. So, what is an implied metaphor? Implied metaphors often convey a comparison without directly stating it. They often show comparisons indirectly or through suggestions. They usually hint at a connection between two concepts, allowing the reader or listener to infer the relationship. So, what we mean here is that, in direct metaphor, we say A is B. In implied metaphor, we do not say A is B. Rather, it is a kind of a subtle comparison, such a way that you will be the one to infer what they are trying to compare. You will be the one to infer that, oh, they must have been referring to the qualities, not the literal meaning. Do you understand? So, in implied metaphor, you really need to pay attention to the context for you to understand what they are trying to say because it's not going to tell you he is like a lion or he is a ray of sunshine. No, it is going to be implied. So, example 1, the young man is digging himself into a hole. So, this does not mean that the man, you can see a man physically digging some hole around him such that he will eventually fall into it. No, it means that the man is creating some kind of problems for himself, such that when he gets into that problem, it might be difficult for him to get out, just like it is difficult to get out of a hole. So it is like directly comparing that difficulty of trying to get out of a hole into the kind of problem he's going to get into. Example 2, Dele sailed through treacherous waters. So this does not mean that Dele actually go through waters. No, the expression is only used to directly compare a kind of difficult and uncertain situation that Dele has went through and he was able to what? Succeed. He came out of the situation successfully. So this is how implied metaphors work. It is not just about saying A is B. No. It is about replacing a particular concept with another without even showing any form of we are comparing. No, you will be the one to infer from the context that, oh, this expression must be representing another concept. Example 3, Mrs. Nkane broke down the wall of physics for us. So this means that whatever it is that was difficult, that looks like a wall that we need to surmount, do you understand? Mrs. Nkim was able to bring it down for us in physics. So now physics is more understandable. It is more accessible. There is no longer a big wall that we are worried about how to surmount it because Mrs. Nkim has made it simple. Example 4. Her boss tore her down with his tongue. So this means that her boss spoke severely and disapprovingly in a way that demoralizes her. So it is also directly comparing. the hurt that what her boss has said to her caused towards actually trying to tear someone down. Do you understand? So it's like directly comparing that pain, that hurt, to what she felt when her boss spoke to her in that particular manner. So this is what metaphors do. Direct comparison, either directly or as a form of what? Implied metaphors. And when we get to extended metaphors as well, we are going to explain that in details with copious examples as well. But for now, let's go into practical questions from your YSSE past questions on metaphors. So here we have question F from section B, WAEC 2017 past question. So we have the concerned look on mother's face told me I had stirred up a hornet's nest and should be prepared for the sting. So the expression we are concerned about here is actually the expression that is what's underlined. Questions on metaphors like this are usually from your section B, which is questions on comprehension. Do you understand? If you're already familiar with the past question, then you should know what I'm talking about. So the question here is, what figure of speech is used in the above underlined expression and what does it mean? So let's look at this, the underlined expression. I had stirred up her hornet's nest and should be prepared for the sting. So from the context, it is not as if the speaker is in a kind of bush where she can stir up an hornet's nest. No, she's only comparing the look on the mother's face that to what? To actually stirring up an honest nest. That is, she has done something that could actually lead to a form of grievous consequence that is similar to stirring up an honest nest. So this is also a form of what? Implied metaphor. We are not saying A is B, no. But it is kind of subtle. You need to pay attention to it for you to decipher the meaning. That okay, they're actually using this concept to replace or to represent the concept of doing something that is grievous in this context at least. Do you understand? So our answer is what? Metaphor. Our answer is metaphor. It is an implied metaphor, but you don't need to write that because they only ask you for the figure of speech. They didn't ask you for the type of the figure of speech. What does it mean? It means that I have done something that will provoke grievous consequences and I should be ready for the what? Consequences. Do you understand that is the speaker has done something that will provoke grievous consequences? Are you following? If you have any question, do not hesitate to put it in the comment as I would be glad to answer. So let's move on to the next question, which is question H, section B, 2014 WAEC. So here we have, I was amazed. I was pleasantly surprised from the interview. It became clear that he had experienced a surge in intellectual prowess late in his secondary school career and zoomed into and through the university as a medical student. So now I actually wrote this um, from the beginning because I want you to understand the context. And this is also a lesson for you. Don't just read the question and conclude on your answer. No. Go back to the passage, read it with the context so that you can figure out the correct answer. So now we have zoomed. Zoom is usually used in the context of a moving vehicle or something that is moving and making sound that is moving fastly and making sounds. Do you understand? But here we are actually talking about someone who has what? Moved from secondary school and moved to the university in order for the person to what? Ace his career. Are you following? So that means the word zoom has been used to replace move in order for the writer to create a vivid imagery of how fast he was able to do that or how unexpectedly he was able to do that. Do you understand? So let's look at the question. The question says, what figure of speech is used in this expression and what does it mean? So this is usually the question on um, this section. Do you understand? If you're familiar with the past question, then you would know what I'm talking about. So what figure of speech is used? I was explaining that zoom is usually used in the context of what? Cars or something moving and making a noise. So you can say he zoomed into his compound. That is, he drove fastly into his compound in a way that attracts attention that, oh, what is going on here? Or he zoomed into his office. That is, he drove fastly into his office. Are you following? So it is just a way to create vivid imagery about how fast he was able to move. So zoom is the word that is used to replace what? Move, just to create that vivid imagery. So that is what? A form of what? Metaphor, because we are directly comparing how fast he was able to move to how fast it is to zoom into something. Do you understand? Such as a car zooming into a compound. Are you following? Are you following? I hope you are getting how I'm analyzing the sentences to arrive at my answer. So our answer is what? For I, metaphor. However, for what does it mean? We have, it means that what? It means that he quickly and effectively move and complete his university education. Do you understand? So let's move on to the next question, which is question G, section B, WAEC 2013. So we have, he actually tamed mathematics for us, terrifying as it was. So again, we are concerned about the underlined words, but I need to write more than just the underlined words just to give you a context. So, what figure of speech is used in this expression? Let's look at the key word here, tame. The word tame is usually used in the context of animals. So, if you say that this animal has been tamed, it means that whatever it is that made the animal harmful or dangerous to human beings, such as a lion, has been removed. So if I say that the lion has been tamed, that means that it is no longer capable of hurting me. I can now keep it as a pet. Do you understand? Whatever it is that was scary, that was terrifying about the animal has been removed. Do you understand? So now, if I bring it into the context of mathematics, I'm saying that he was able to simplify it. He was able to remove whatever it is that was causing an obstacle. For us to understand mathematics, he was able to remove it from it. So that means that we are directly comparing how well he was able to simplify mathematics for us towards the action of taming an animal, removing the wild element from it. Are you following? So that means that the figure of speech used in this expression is what? Is what? Before I reveal the answer, pay attention to how I'm analyzing the sentences, the expression, in order for me to get to my answer, so that you don't get confused when you eventually want to answer your question. So answer is what? Metaphor. Our answer is metaphor. Now let's move on to the next question, which is question G, section B, WAEC 2012. So we have, when Bademosi heard that he had some visitors from Iriti, his hometown, he concluded immediately that they must be the usual seekers of financial assistance or jobs. He decided that he would give them the rough edge of his tongue. Now, the underlined expression is give them the rough edge of his tongue. But I have given you the full passage because I want you to understand the context. So, what does it mean to give them the rough edge of his tongue? The question is, what figure of speech is used in this expression and what does it mean? We all know that this does not mean that Bademosi is going to remove his tongue and give it to his visitors. No. This is a form of metaphor. That is, this expression here is actually replacing another concept which we are going to deduce from the context, that is, from what has been said previously in the passage. So, from what has been said previously in the passage, we can tell that what he's trying to say is that he's going to speak to them harshly. He's not going to pamper them with his words. Do you understand? He's not going to welcome them with his words. He's going to be as harsh as possible. So that is what this expression is replacing or is representing. So the expression is what? Metaphor. and it means that it would speak to them harshly, critically, bluntly, without softening his words. Do you understand? I'm sorry to cut you short, but I have to stop this video because I do not want it to be too long. Let's continue in the next video with other past questions and extended metaphors. Kindly click on the link in the description below to continue watching this video till the end. See you in the concluding part. Again, this is English with RMG. Kindly like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Let them benefit. And this video is proudly brought to you by Iota Virtual Learning. Thank you. I wish you all the best.